The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
Hello, everybody, to our Daily Gun Show. We come to you live every day at 7 p.m. Eastern. That's 4 Pacific. For about an hour and 90 minutes each day. We do 3 gun-related topics, different topics throughout the week. We run it live on YouTube and simulcast it over at gunchannels.com. We're watching the comments that are coming in live from all the people that are watching us as we're broadcasting live. We also take the audio occasionally and post it over on iTunes as a podcast. So we appreciate everybody who watches the show now or in the future who leaves us feedback on whatever platform it is you might be watching on. Lets us know where you are, and it helps the show get recommended to more listeners, so we do appreciate that. We got 4 hosts. 3 of us are here today. We got Bob jumping in from Canada. Thanks for joining.
Oh, hey, glad to be here.
We got Smeggy on the road up in Michigan. Thanks for joining.
Hey, how's everyone doing today?
And then I'm down here in Arizona. So today is episode 360. Complete 100 or 360 degree turn with the show. So we're going a new direction. On Friday, we're going to be doing gun tech, gun biz, and alternate gun topics. Today we'll talk about sling types, if it's good for a pro, if it's good to be Pro 2A as a manufacturer, and then we'll talk about the different types of competition, sporting games with shotguns. And all the stuff we normally talk about on a daily basis. But before we do, we always take a break before the show starts to see if anything happened tonight. Grant, that's what we're talking about.
Patreon has started defunding people they don't like that are too right-wing.
Really? About that.
Yeah, it's a big thing now. They don't defund an Antifa that preaches violence, but they defund a right-winger who disagrees with what they think the point of view should be.
Okay, so that's an established thing, or it happened to one person, or what?
It's so far it's only happened to one person we know of, but their reasons are completely bogus when you look at some of the other sites that are still Patreon funded. So it seems to be very much a political decision. Patreon's choosing sides.
Or they chose sides once?
So far, yeah.
Right.
And they're being called out on it, of course. So we'll see what happens. But it's an interesting thing that I never thought Patreon would be like, political.
I don't know why not. YouTube is. Google is. Microsoft probably is. So who got it defunded?
It's a girl called Lauren Southern. She used to be with Rebel Media, and she's gone out on her own now. So she's funding herself with Patreon, and basically she goes and covers, the G7, anti-Shakira law protests. She covers the Berkeley free speech protests and stuff like that. But she's been lately covering some groups in Europe that are they're going out and meeting the migrant boats and turning them back, like not with violence. They're just telling them, no, you can't come here. It's like, and what the NGOs are doing, the non-government agencies, they've got boats out there that pick up the refugees and then take them to European ports. They're going out there and trying to intercept them and say, no, you got to go back that way. Or I guess also getting the Libyan Navy to come out and, like they find them, they radio Libyan Navy and say, here's one of these ships, because the ships all turn off their radar when they're smuggling refugees or migrants. It's actually a proper term.
How did this do with Patreon then?
Well, she was funded by Patreon as an independent kind of news reporter. Patreon funded her because they said she was part of this group that's going out there to try stop these migrants. And they said that, because of what she's doing to stop these migrants, it may result in somebody being injured. So they're not going to fund her, or they're not going to allow her to fundraise through Patreon.
All right. Well, I'm going to call that a Patreon turning against everybody.
Yeah.
So that's one of those. It's at the point where maybe, it's worth it to keep an eye on, see if it happens to hundreds of channels. But
yeah, because the thing
it's
is,
just one
person, they've held up for comparison some Antifa sites that make about $1,000 a month from Patreon, and these sites actually tell you how to sabotage railway tracks, to stop fracking trains and stuff like that. And I'm thinking, well, that's more likely to injure somebody. You're gonna
So people are calling out their hypocrisy or whatever, but
yeah,
either they defund all of it or they defund none of it. But again, they've done it to one person so far. So
yes, but I mean, so it is something to keep an eye on for sure. But other than that, I think there were some good chats went on last night.
Yeah, Clover Tech had a good one last night. That was pretty good.
And then if you were
yes,
if you were hip enough to watch Hoshnasi's Instagram live feed,
actually, next time I see Hosh, I'm gonna give him shit because he should have let me know he was doing that. I would have gone and watched.
Okay, well, if I can explain to the viewers out there, what he did is he watched a very cheesy movie and then commented along with it, and I was in there on the Instagram thing typing along and saying all my snarky things. So it was quite entertaining for the handful of us that got to watch it. But if you missed out, you missed out. That's why you should hang out late.
Too true, right? Damn, women make me go to bed on time. Oh well.
But other than that, I don't know of anything that happened, at least firearm related, last night or anything like that.
Yeah. You got anything, G?
Yeah, I said Clover Tech. It was a pretty good show.
Yes. Yeah, I did. I kind of caught the end of it, but yeah, it was like that was a darn good show.
All right, well, so that's episode 360. We're going to be digging into gun tech, sling types, benefits of each, 1 point, 2 point, 3 point, go.
1 point I've tried and sucks. 2 point I love. 3 point I don't think I've ever tried.
I'm guessing they're talking 3 point like a some kind of tactical thing where you have 3 attachment points to the gun as opposed to the World War II sling.
I tend to mostly use a 2 point, but I do have one of those convertible where you can just take the clip off and clip it to itself and it turns into a 1 point. But I rarely use that, but it is an option. Most of the time I'm just trying to hold my gun while I walk out to the shooting range or whatever. So
yeah, really. Like the 1 point, like I say, I thought that looked like it'd be a really cool idea, and they make one for my VZ. So I bought it, tried it out, and went, "This is really stupid. It's very clumsy." I could see it in maybe certain situations, like if you're standing at guard or something like that. But like for just regular carry, it sucks. Like direct carry, yeah, it's terrible. 2 point sling is so useful in so many ways, and you can use a 2 point almost like a 1 point, so it can hang in front of you and be ready to use. So yeah, I just don't see.
But isn't the advantage of the 1 point? And I may be wrong on this, but you hang it in front just like you would if you were hanging a 2 point in front of you, but then it swings way out of the way easier if you need to go to your sidearm or if you need to do something. Isn't that where the advantage comes in?
No.
It might, but if you need to go to your sidearm, that's just such a Now
we're going to talk pros and cons. Let's be fair to it. It's not completely retarded. People use it for a reason.
No, the only reason I use it is for a tether. It's not a sling like a sling, so it's there to keep your gun tethered to you, basically. So it doesn't swing out of the way. It's pivots usually anchored right in your chest, and then it goes straight down. So some people put it under their armpit, I guess, but it's that the function of it is to be more of a tether, I think, than to be used as a shooting support or a slinging type of thing. Especially the single point, because the single point you don't have any option. A 3-point will let you do that. It'll let you just hang it from you, but also be used as a shooting aid.
Okay, well, I guess I was wrong.
So I think we're agreed on this. Everybody says the 2-point is good. 3 points, well, it's just a 2-point with an extra point. And the 1-point single point is, kind of just like GWF says, a tether. So it's like when you put strings on the kids so they don't lose their mitts.
Now, what would you consider then? I guess it's probably a 2-point because it only attaches to the gun in 2 places. But have you seen the shooting slings that have like an extra strap that you wrap your bicep around and stuff like that's supposed to be? I think on Forgotten Weapons, which is talking about this old like World War II sling type thing. And
I didn't know this was coming, right?
Positions being score that you can riddle if you're automatic. Your work in the being the right. The hasty sling is rarely used except in the standing position. But we'll show you how to adjust it when we come to that position. The loop sling is used in all other positions. Here's how to adjust it. Place the rifle butt on the right thigh and cradle it in the curve of your right arm so that you've got both hands free to adjust the sling. Unfasten the lower hook and refasten it near the butt swivel. This loosens the lower loop. Unfasten the upper hook and refasten it so that the upper loop hangs down to about the pistol grip. But it may need further adjustment. The correct place for the upper hook depends on the man. You'll get your fit by trying it out. After your instructor is satisfied you have the right pair of holes, mark them so that you'll find them at a glance. Twist the sling 1/2 turn to the left and insert the left hand through the upper loop from right to left. Slide the loop well up your left arm. Leave the loose end free and use both hands to work the upper hook and the first keeper down close against your arm. Then pull down the second keeper against the upper hook. This locks the upper loop in place against your arm and keeps it from slipping. You can't shoot with a loose loop sliding down your arm. Once the loop is correctly adjusted, move your left hand over the top of the sling and place it under the rifle against the upper sling swivel. The rifle must rest in the V between your thumb and forefinger and on the heel of your hand. Wrist straight, fingers relaxed. The sling must lie smoothly along your hand and wrist. If it doesn't, you've done something wrong. This is the way you hold the rifle. Now let's go over the loop sling adjustment once more. Right to left, against it, the upper loop. Sir, with Japs and Germans shooting at you, like you said, looks like you wouldn't have much chance to get that sling on. Keep thinking like that, and you'll live to tell your grandchildren about it. You're right, of course. Use the sling whenever you have time.
All right. So you couldn't see that, Smeggy, but that was the World War II training video, I guess.
Yeah, it was really good. I loved the acting in it. It was quite professional. And they seem to give you good technical points. But that is like, I mean, that's the kind of slings that were on all the rifles I grew up using. So that's the kind of slings I like.
All right, well, so that was the sling types, and I don't know. The benefits of a 1-point is that it's for like a SWAT team is I think about the only benefit of it. If you're going to be dropping your gun for some reason, going to something else, and you want it, and you got it, but you have to be ready for it to just be swinging around. For like an H&K or something small, who cares? But for a real rifle, it's not. It's not. I mean, go run with it. See if it works for you.
Yeah.
2 points good, and those 3 points. I don't know what we're talking about. 3 points there. The ones that are contraptions are too complicated in my book, but a lot of people like them.
Yeah, I've seen the ones that are, well, you know, they make ones that are like almost like a backpack rig. If you're carrying a big sniper rifle, that's one thing. But yeah, for a regular rifle, just a regular rifle sling is the best way to go, as far as I'm concerned. So. And I have actually tried the 1-point. It was just terrible. Yeah, I could see it's for one practical purpose, but you know, that's it.
All right, with that, we'll move on to the gun biz. So we'll be talking about if it's good to be Pro 2A as a manufacturer. And before we do, we'll take a break because we always feature one of the members over at Gun Channels between the first and second segment of the show each day. Gun Channels is a place we built a while back. It's a community. It's focused on firearms, all kinds of things to do. It's a fun place to hang out, so we encourage you to check it out. Because it's run by its members, so we like to feature one every day. Today it's Moon, or Autoloader, over on the Instagram. There's actually a theme to this week, but I don't think anybody's going to pick it up. We'll wait till the end. Huh? You're breaking up, Sling.
Oh, never mind.
I think he was asking who else was this week. Stone Guy, Pink Panther, Flippy, and Pawnery.
I think I know the theme.
Oh, no, it's not. It's Pink Panther, Stone Guy, and we don't have the other two. This for some technical reason. All right, so anyway, Moon's a heck of a guy. When we built the place, he was already here, and he's always plugging the place on his fancy Instagram, so we appreciate that. And well, on personal note, he's made a bunch of the patches over on Gear website, so check those out. You can even buy some.
Yes, indeed. He has a twisted sense of humor, we should say, but it really translates well into really cool patches. And yeah, Moon's a good dude. Actually, got to meet him one of these days. I want to get his patch.
I don't know about twisted sense of humor, but okay. Yeah, I really like Moon. Cool guy. He's a fellow CZ lover, so that's always a bonus. And yeah, his Instagram is awesome, and when he jumps into live chats, he always has good conversation.
All right, and with that, we can move on then. So we'll head into the gun biz. Is it good to be Pro 2A as a manufacturer? I think no one's going to suggest you be non-2A, but maybe some of the manufacturers just keep their mouth shut, I guess. Is that the, is it better to be?
I think that's a good way to put it.
So what do you think? Is it better to be Pro A? I think so.
Holy hell.
I definitely think so. I mean, I don't know what the worry would be is if, I don't even know, right? So maybe someone who's one of these, like, I like the Second Amendment, but, like, those people still buy guns, and they might not be so keen on buying your stuff if you're always being super Pro A. But, anyways, yeah, I think it's definitely worth it to be Pro 2A, because if the 2A goes away, then you don't have any products to sell anyway. So
yeah, it seems to me it would be completely counterproductive for any company to be anti-Second Amendment and manufacture firearms. I think we lost Smeggy. He probably just hit a... Well, either the aliens got him. I might have mentioned where he was going. So I think we're agreed on that it's not in the best interest of any company to be anti-Second Amendment. Are there any that we know for sure are anti-Second Amendment?
Well, I mean, they've been, I don't know, yeah. In the past, there have been ones, yes.
That makes no sense to me. Like, what could they be thinking?
Self-interest, shareholders' profits or whatever, what they need to be.
Yes.
Yes. I don't know, but a lot of times the examples like Ruger isn't necessarily anything like that. It was just the guy's personal thing. I think with Smith and Wesson, it was potential. You know, they were thinking they were saving something in the future or something. I guess I don't know.
Or they were getting an exemption. Like companies will go, oh yeah, we'll sell out everybody else, but you're going to give us special preference.
Well, like if you think about the people that were in favor of the importation bans of the 1968 Gun Control Act.
Oh, well, that was all in their own interest, right?
I wasn't alive back then, but what I've heard is that like Remington and Mossberg and such, Browning and all the rest were Ruger, were all okay with the concept of banning imports because that was stopping a bunch of those World War II surplus guns, which cost basically nothing, and were being sporterized, and then people weren't buying a Ruger or Mossberg or a Remington or whatever.
Well, I think it was also they're protecting their own manufacturing rights. If you can't import stuff, then somebody's making new stuff overseas that might be cheaper than yours, like the Chinese, but you know, a good enough quality that people will still buy it. They're probably thinking that's competition. So I don't, yeah, that's not so much they, you know, were anti-Second Amendment as they were just pro-protectionist. You know, we want the market to ourselves.
Well, that's short-sighted by restricting or inhibiting or making it difficult to enjoy a right. That's not pro-Second Amendment, I wouldn't say.
Oh no, of course not. No, not at all. And that's, you know, one of the things that makes you go like, what the hell? But you know, they're looking at it from a corporate point of view, right? Like, what car company wouldn't support a law that said you can't import any car into this country? The only cars built in this country have to be built here by such and such company, right? Or have to be built here, right? What car company wouldn't support it if it was in that country? It means they're going to get all the business. So I'm sure they thought the same way.
Well, obviously, but that doesn't make it right. That just explains it. And
yeah,
you're gonna.
That's what I'm saying. I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it. I think it's
just anything.
Yeah, as you said, it's very short-sighted.
So William's saying, I think we all need to be active in supporting pro-2A companies and outing the anti-2A companies. Be vocal, be positive, be active. I think I agree. And I don't know so much about the outing ones. I mean, obviously we want to be vigilant, and if somebody's out there being a Yahoo, then it's just, you know, it's going to be known. That's the nature of the 24-hour, you know, awareness now.
Yep.
Tony's saying there's no gun companies that are pro or that are anti-2A. That's propaganda. So again, yeah, right. You said earlier, it's perception. It is. So if you want to give everybody a pass because it's just their own self-interest and that's okay, then that's probably fine. It's true. But in the bigger picture, they're not doing it in a vacuum. They're doing it in a country where there's consequences to their actions. And if those consequences are laws that infringe or that, well, they do infringe, then I'm not going to ignore that either.
True.
But I wasn't alive during the 68, so I'd like to hear more about that. I didn't hear it about it on the internet. I've seen it reinforced on the internet, but I've heard it from gun shops back in the day and probably from reading. I mean, I don't remember every article I've ever read anything anymore. But I remember that's old knowledge. That's not like internet type of stuff.
No, that's true. And yeah, it did. And like I say,
I mean, I used to remember looking at the surplus things like the Bannerman catalog,
Yeah.
just looking at surplus guns and going, oh man, I wish we could get this one from World War II. We collected milsurps, I guess, when I was a kid. And, the answer was always, oh, you can't, those aren't around anymore. And it wasn't necessarily that they weren't unobtainable, it's just that they weren't common anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there was the ones there was in the country, and there was lots of them. Like, make no mistake,
I mean, they had from the 40s till the 60s, but still, there was still tons of them overseas, and and all those weird ones. I mean, not just World War II, but all the crazy skirmishes that went on in the world where people armed up. All those guns eventually would have come here as recreational guns.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, it's sad, but at the same time, it's like, I understand why the companies were that way, but I don't think they were being anti-Second Amendment. I think they were just being, pro-business, and we're going to lock our market in. They never thought in their minds that this would help to take away the right of Americans to own and buy arms. They thought they were making a good marketing decision.
Perhaps.
I remember.
There was no way to hold their feet to the fire like there is now. There's no court of public opinion. All there was speculation, 2020 hindsight.
Mm-hmm. Well, I remember that's when it first started to get a little hinky bringing guns into the States from Canada. Like back in '68. Before that, it was just like, oh, I'm bringing my rifle. Okay. Or whatever. It did not, right? Like,
yeah.
That was common, right? You had a gun in your car. Or a rifle or something, right? Especially for where I'm from. And the border was just like a line on, we'd go hunt on either side. Everybody did.
So we're talking, I don't know when you dropped out, Smeggy, we're talking about, is it good to be Pro 2A as a manufacturer? So over on the YouTube side, let's see. Trying to go back here.
Yeah, I was answering that when I got all messed up and whatnot, but I basically said, yes, it is good. And I was trying to play devil's advocate of why someone would think it's not. And the only thing I can think of is they don't want to offend the type of people that buy guns but are still like, well, I'm 2A, but yeah, I think we need checks or whatever, those types of people.
Sure. So I think that any danger of that, I would think, would be just blown off. I can't think of anybody who's adamantly against the Second Amendment who also buys guns, where there's people that just don't care about the right and they're just buying a gun or a tool or whatever, in which case they're going to ignore all the pamphlets or promotional stuff that they're saying that they do, So I don't think it's going to negatively affect sales, but I think it would positively affect sales if they're doing something decent, and they brag about it or whatever. Some of you mentioned Henry. I think Henry's one of the brands that will talk about what they do. Then I wanted to go back to William said about NASCAR. And that started a big thing. So think about, that's what Williams posted on the YouTube side. Think about NASCAR. 30 years ago, only beer and tobacco companies sponsored the NASCAR events. Once companies learned how brand loyal NASCAR fans were, they quickly became sponsors. And now I think what he's saying is like there's Subway and Tide and just household stuff on there, right? Cars and
Viagra, Extend,
just stuff. So I guess the concept there would be, if there were more shows like Top Shot and whatever, and those weren't just a flash in the pan, but those stuck around and became popular, and sponsors could see that there's views there, then it would be less gun oils and hunting vacations, and it would be more minivans and whatever hell else, Disneylands or whatever.
The one thing I could see that would work really well for that is long range shooting, and having people like back in the old days when they had the old long distance shooting events, right? Like the Creedmoor and stuff like that. Have that, televise it. Now with modern cameras and stuff like that, you could make it, especially if you got two guys going side by side with sniper like 50s at 2 miles. that could be something that would be very exciting, actually, for people. And it's the pure competition of it, the distances. Oh, I could see that being just a big TV show. And, you know, get the word out there that, hey, firearms is done. They're a tool that you can use for sport as well as for hunting, as well as for defense. They're just a tool. So I don't know. There's an idea for all the people out there. How about like a long distance shoot? Let's get it some real traction in advertising and do some good video of it, right?
Well, yeah, I agree with that. I'm not sure how that has to do with you know, companies being 2A or whatever, but yeah, I always say there needs to be like the 3-gun stuff and all that. Like, I don't understand why that's not on regular TV. I mean, you can, there's what, 3-Gun Nation or whatever. Like, you can find it if you have the right channel on your cable or whatever, and you can find it online. But yeah, if that was just on, you know, whatever, Fox Sports or something.
Well, they just got to make it mainstream, right? It's got to somehow make that jump to where people, and I think we have, well, we kind of have the perfect chance because there's all this talk about snipers, you know, and these long distance shots that's been in the news and ever since, you know, and even before the movie about American Sniper, you know, there's been that perception that these are special people that can make those kind of shots. And I think that's how you can make stars, right? As well as you can make a whole competition, right? Just like NASCAR, but make it about long distance shooting.
Yeah.
That's something that could be very entertaining if it was done right.
Sounds boring as shit to me. So I guess it would just depend on if there's a market for it or whatever. I think watching people run around would be more interesting. I'd rather watch the cowboy shooters personally, but whatever. I don't think you can make something, otherwise somebody would make it. I think it just has to happen. But anyway, manufacturers definitely sponsor stuff. I think the NSSF had some sort of meetup, like an industry spotlight type of thing. And I remember one of the competition shooters was up there complaining that there's so few people in the shooting sports now compared to just a few years ago. So I don't know what kind of fluctuations those sports have, but you know, you can, like say, you're not gonna be able to force that onto any networks or anything, but with participation comes coverage. So as more people actually enjoy the sport and show up, and cameras will follow.
That's a good point. Well, and also with today and the ability to make our own media, I think we can have a lot to do with that.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's a bigger topic, is when these companies are pro 2A or not, then it isn't the television shows that are doing anything about that. It isn't the magazines, it's the social medias that are doing it.
Yeah, now think about that. If all of a sudden a social media site blows up and becomes huge because it's covering this kind of stuff, do you think mainstream media would sit up and take notice?
They haven't yet. I don't know if that's a factor of mainstream media not taking notice or not being interested, or a factor of the anti-gun situation with most of the like AdSense, you know, the things that facilitate ads on a forum or a blog or a website. So you know, I'm not sure. What you typically see is the clickbait garbage, unfortunately, and either that pays well or it's their only options. But well, these aren't new phenomenon, so we'll see as time goes on. These, like you're saying, the places that thrive on new news like that, gun-related stuff, they've been around for a while, so they've figured out how to maintain in business, or, you know, stay entities. But you're right, you don't see mainstream ads on them typically.
Yeah, true.
All right, well, that subject, you're welcome. Saving the industry 1 week at a time. So we can move on to one of the next topics. We want to do the movie, the gun, the next topic. something else? Gun shop?
Let's do the gun, actually. Because it is the STG 77. Now, most people know it as a Steyr AUG. It's just a really cool. It's I believe it's the first bullpup that's was accepted as a service rifle. Maine, Austria. Well, Steyr. Anyway, really cool gun, and it's I think 40 years old now. So think about that. Like, that thing looks so space age today, and it's 40 years old. And the newer models, I think, use AR-15 mags. The original one had a proprietary mag, which kind of sucked.
It says 78. So 88, 98, 2008, 2018. Yeah, 40.
Yeah. So anyway, really cool gun. It came with it was a weird gun, I gotta say. It like the scope was attached, and it was a 1.5 power scope, and it just, that was your sights, right? You didn't have irons, you had the scope, which just had a donut in the middle of it, you know, not a pipper, not a point, a donut that you just put around the target. It's kind of weird. But anyway, very interesting looking gun. Still used by the Australians, I believe. I'm not sure who else. I think police forces use them a bit too. But a gun that Dano would particularly hate, because we know he just hates on any bullpup. You know, but you know, Dano's so hard nowadays. He's just anti-bullpup. But
Yeah, I think the thing's kind of cool looking. I mean, it's definitely different. I didn't realize it was that old, that it was 40 years. So that just shows you that they've been, you know, messing around with different designs and stuff for a long time. Bullpups still haven't caught on in the mainstream gun industry. You know, there are some people that are all about them, but most people still don't really like them. But like you said, there are some militaries and police that use those specifically, or just bullpups in general. But most of them are still AR, AK type people. So I don't know. I think it's neat. I'd like to be able to shoot one if I ever get a chance. I'd be interested how the weight distribution is, like, because it seems like it kind of pivots weird or whatever. But I'm just interested. I don't know what it's like. I'd be interested.
Yeah. Most of those photos, looking even how short that gun is, it's got a 20-inch barrel. So think about that. That gives you, you know, it's the size of something with a 14-inch barrel, but it's got a 20-inch barrel. It makes such a difference for bullet performance. But it still handles pretty decent, I guess. The trigger is just crazy. I just, like, the trigger looks like something on an airsoft gun. But, you know, it works. And, you know, people who own them and shoot them seem to like them. Mac from Military Arms Channel, I think he has 2 of them. Got an old one and a newer one. But yeah. Yeah, just not my. I like them. I would prefer a Chinese T97 that uses AR-15 magazine. But that's our gun of the day, and I thought because it's like 40 years old this year, might as well throw it in there.
Right on. All right, so that was our gun. So next we can go on to something else. What do we want to do next?
What else we got?
Do the movie of the day. So it's Telephone, Charles Bronson.
Oh, I didn't even check this one out. I don't know if I remember it. I think I've seen every Bronson movie, but telethon. It's
1977. A Russian officer is sent to USA to try to stop sleeper agents who will mindlessly attack government entities when they hear certain coded words. I don't think I've seen this one either.
No, I haven't. I
That's-
think you remember Bronson with a Russian accent, though, so maybe I have and just didn't pay attention. Has anybody out in the audience seen it? Anybody in Gun Channel seen it?
The KGB is looking for one of their people, a man named something or other, because he has stolen something important, but unfortunately he manages to get through the border. Later in the U.S., some seemingly unimportant or some seemingly ordinary people, after receiving a phone call, go out and destroy key American military installations. Back in the USSR, blah, blah, blah. A KGB agent has been in the U.S. on missions before. They inform him that the YouTube incident, in fear of the possibility that a war with the U.S. will occur, they are part of Operation Telethon, recruiting agents and brainwashing them to believe they are Americans. They would assume they identify an American who died a long time ago, who would be now their age. They'd be situated in the city where key U.S. military installation is located. Yeah, okay.
It actually sounds kind of interesting.
Yeah, 1977. It cost $7 million to make. It's 102 minutes long. It was between White Buffalo and Love and Bullets for
Bronson, yeah. Remember White Buffalo? That was kind of interesting.
The assault rifles used by the Soviet troops were Valmet M62s, a derivative of the AK-47.
Oh, cool. Probably the same ones used in Red Dawn.
Not if it was filmed somewhere else. It was filmed in, oh no, it was filmed in California. All right, so that's the movie of the day. We haven't seen it, but I'm sure it's cool because it's filmed in 1977. It's probably cool.
Yep, I'm thinking I got to go look it up and see it. And I want to say thanks to Ralph. He was out in the Gun Channel shot, and he said, "Oh, he's seen it, and it's really good." And yeah, having talked to Ralph enough, I have faint memories of it, but yeah, I'm thinking yeah, it sounds like a really good movie. So
it was on YouTube. It's not anymore.
okay.
All right. Well, that was the movie of the day. And if you ever want to throw in a movie, feel free. You can email us at dailygunshow@gmail.com, and we appreciate it.
I'm getting nothing on the firearm database.
It's not big enough.
Oh, it's okay. We already caught it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just the AK-47s were used were Valamets. And I'm saying 77, then they were probably the same guns that were used in Red Dawn.
No, that was 84. That was 84.
Yeah, that wasn't that much, 77, they keep those guns, they reuse them in movies.
Yeah, well, they made them for Red Dawn, so.
Made them from these guns, and they got them from.
Whatever. Quit making things up and then trying to lie about it after you've been.
Hey, I'm right. Probably.
No, you're not, because
it's possible.
No, because the Red Dawn guns were made to be Red Dawn guns, because there was a whole thing about
They were
that.
probably made from stock from another country.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, anyway, so that's the movie. Go watch it, people.
So, today in history.
What happened today in history?
In 1861, the first major battle in the Civil War, the Confederate forces defeated the Union Army at Bull Run near Manassas Junction in Virginia. The battle becomes known as Manassas by the Confederates, while the Union calls it Bull Run. Today in 1865, just 4 years later, while Bill Hickok killed a gunman in Springfield, Missouri, it was regarded as the first formal quick draw duel.
Well, Bill Hickok, man. And he lived a long time.
Today in 1944, U.S. Army and Marine forces landed on Guam. And let's see, today Ernest Hemingway was born, and Robin Williams. the comedian, 1952. Ernest Hemingway, 1899. All right, well, that was a little bit of stuff in history, and I think it was, but I don't remember what it is.
Imagine though, like Hemingway grew up in a time where, because he was a rich author who had a fast fishing boat, he was allowed to arm it. Like when he was living in Cuba, he was allowed to put machine guns on it and go out and hunt German submarines and Japanese submarines.
What?
Great time.
I don't know why. I think it's because it came out of Bob's voice, but why is my BS meter going off the roof here?
No,
Is that a true story? He went around shooting German and Japanese subs in Cuba? What the hell are you talking about?
No, I think Hemingway was living in Cuba, or maybe it was, no, Miami. Sorry, not Cuba, Miami. Same kind of general area. And he had a fast fishing boat. He got permission to arm it. And he had, like, you know, a crew of 6 or 7 locals with Grands, BARs, and a 50 cal sandbagged on the front of the boat, you know, because they didn't have the mount, or they didn't want to mount it on the boat. So they just made a sandbag cradle on the front of the boat so they could shoot this 50 off the boat. And they would go out and hunt German submarines off the coast of Miami. I'm not shitting you, man. That's pure fact. He also has there's still a herd of 6-toed cats that live at his house.
I was looking through my Instagram while Bob was saying all that stuff, and I can't find it. I thought there was somebody had mentioned an anniversary of a cool gun thing today, but so if somebody can find that before the end of the show, that'd be cool. There was somebody in my feed that I was looking at earlier, and I was like, oh, dang, I didn't put that in the calendar. All right, well.
There we go. Well, that's all right, because Maggie called me a bullshitter, and I called him on it and told him to go. Yeah. Oh, I'm going to do a Yankee on you, Maggie, and go, look it up.
I am right now, and you're right. It does say during World War II, Hemingway used his boat to search for German U-boats in the Caribbean waters. It was outfitted with communication gear. His minimal armament included a Thompson submachine gun and hand grenades.
Yeah, but there was also
most accounts state that an effort to attack a submarine would be futile. Blah 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 blah. So I don't know about other than if the Thompson machine gun, right? But it doesn't talk about him freaking arming up and stuff.
Well, I've read a book about it, and yeah, he was purported to have put a 50 cal, or at least a 30 cal, but yeah, probably a 50 cal, like sandbagged on the front of the boat, and then plus he had guys with BARs, which, you know, if you got a Thompson, you can get a bar, you know. Could have put holes in a German submarine if you got close. And hand grenades, they could have damaged the hull.
I guess, but it doesn't sound like he ever found one. At least they didn't mention it here.
Oh no, he was an old man. He was like my age when he was doing this shit.
He was born in 1899, so in World War II, it'd been 50.
Yeah, okay, not my age. A little older, a little younger than me, I should say. But
well, so
I've had a healthier life. He led a pretty tough life. At 50, he was probably pretty close to being dead, even if he hadn't put that Browning to his head.
Anyhow, so definitely Nazi U-boats coming over here and sniffing around, and I suspect anybody who was on the alert could have called over a PT boat, which were probably cruising looking for him too all the time. So,
well, and that's the thing, right? It did say it was equipped with the communication, like some type of upgraded communication system thing.
No, he had radios, and that's what the government authorized him to do. It was him who, you know, added the extra firepower. Like, he was authorized to go up there and just report, but he always wanted to attack one because he was nuts, actually.
So, anyways, that's one of those that's probably half right, half myth kind of thing.
Yeah,
From
probably.
what I'm seeing. But anyways, that's neat. That's a good citizen protecting his country. That's what the militia is all about, right?
Don't disagree at all with that. I think there's nothing wrong with what he did, and I would have done the same if I had the resources.
I mean, that's what I do all the time. I'm just waiting for those Canadian tanks to come rolling through downtown Detroit.
Yeah, all 80 of them.
Yeah, well, I'm our first line of defense.
All right. Well, now we're going to go into our alternative gun topic for the week, and that is trap versus skeet versus sporting clays. And then we could probably put 5-stand in there. I don't know if you guys know any other shotgun sports.
Not really. It's all I've ever really done. I have done skeet before. Actually, I've done all three of them, but I do sporting clays the most. I've never done 5-stand. But I don't know. Do we want to go through and actually
I think I've only
describe
ever
exactly
done,
what they all are? Because we haven't done that yet. I mean, that's...
I think all I've ever done is just the casual stuff where you got a clay thrower and you go out in the field and shoot clays. So, yeah.
You've never done any of them? None at a trap range or a ski range?
Well, I've gone to those ranges, but it's like not been because I was in a competition. I've just gone and shot when they shot them out. So I don't know. They'd shoot the clays out, I'd shoot them.
Yeah, but did you do the whole thing where you went to the different positions and you shot
Oh yeah,
each time and all that? So
yeah.
just because it's not an official competition, I've never entered an official competition either, but I've shot with my friends and I've tried to shoot better than them. Therefore, I was competing with them.
Okay. Yeah, I've just usually gone out with friends, and we don't compete for Canadians. Just whoever loses by the most has to drink that many beers first before anybody else has one. So it's one of those things. It's not a competition; it's just a tradition.
Well, I've been looking online here for stuff, and basically there's a bunch of weak attempts at describing the top three trap, skeet, and sporting clays. But let's see if Wikipedia has anything. Pistol, shotgun. So they say there's cowboy action, practical shooting, something in French, and then ISSF, which is Olympics. So that's shitty too. So there's a lot more than that. Lame.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's not a very good, nothing searchable at least, that has a good breakdown of these. So if you're into making content online, looks like we might have stumbled across something that's weak out there.
Yeah, it sounds like. Yeah, because
So there's trap. Everybody knows trap. Trap's the easiest one to deal with, and one that most people, like Bob's saying, you just go out and do in the field or whatever, and it kind of mimics something that's coming out from in front of you and flying away from you. So like a duck or a dove, I guess, something where there's not trees around where you're walking, maybe a pheasant or any kind of upland birds, or maybe even rabbits. So anything that comes flying up in the air from in front of you. So you'll typically stand in like that half circle type of thing with 25. I think there's 20. There's how many stations? There's 5 shots from 5 stations for a total of 25 shots. So you go around that 45-degree arc, and you're 16 yards from the firing line or from where the traps the clays are coming from. And then you shoot 5 shots from those 5 stations, I guess. And it's basically the fastest one to do and the easiest one to do, or at least the easiest one to participate in. I don't know about skill-wise if it's any easier. It's probably easier because they're all right in front of you.
Yeah, it is easier because it either goes like straight away, a little to the left or a little to the right, but it's basically just a nice little like kind of arcs up and goes back down. So it's a straight line. You're not moving left to right. You just got to line up, straight, and then you just figure out if you got to shoot above it or below it, depending on if it's coming up or going down.
Sure, but you're going from the left to the center to the right of it. So as it's doing, like you're saying, a very simple move, you're going in a different angles. So the trigonometry gets different, and you got to shoot it on the way up. It's very difficult to shoot them on the way down. So, I mean, it's probably, like, say, the most accessible because traps ranges are the most plentiful. Skeet requires more structure, so those are less common. But it isn't necessarily, I mean, it probably is. It's not the easiest. Sporting clays, I'm going to say, are easier. But trap is pretty simple. Then you get to skeet, and skeet has the same playing field or whatever. You have those positions that you stand in that are like an arc, and that's because you never know where a bird's coming from. So it's to give you experience from shooting left and right and seeing something move in different directions from your orientation. Skeet, though, is going to have two towers, a low tower and a tall tower, and the clays are going to come from those two towers, and they're going to go across from your left and from your right each time. And you typically have one or two to shoot at, both trap and skeet, actually. So skeet's a little tougher, I guess. It's a little more fun, for sure, because it's more challenging. And like I say, it has a lot more overhead because you have to build the towers and stuff. But if you can get to a place that has a skeet range, it's definitely worth checking out. Sporting clays is the next one, and it's basically, they're saying it's called golf with a shotgun. It's very much like that because you're walking around. So you're going to need the most amount of space for sporting clays, but in my experience, there's probably just as many sporting clays out there, ranges out there, as there are skeet. There's way more trap, but they'll just as often have a sporting clays course as they will have a skeet range when they have to go, when they're building up from trap. Anyway, so you're going to need a lot of space for sporting clays, some sort of a place to walk around. You're going to have between 8 and 15 stations where you'll walk between them, and they're usually far enough apart from each other so that if someone were to be stupid with a shotgun, it's not going to really be dangerous for anybody. And then, of course, depending on the amount of trees and stuff, it's all going to be different. Anyway, you're going to walk like you do in golf, from station to station with all your stuff. Old people take like golf carts and cart their stuff around, or take a little wagon. And then for hunting, it's a lot more realistic because you're dragging all your stuff around. So potentially you can really emulate hunting pretty decent with sporting clays if you wanted to. Anyhow, when you go to the different stations, they're going to be different stuff. So sometimes it's going to be coming towards you, away from you, from the left to the right. They'll bounce on the ground like a rabbit. So way more fun, and a good sporting range course will go out there and screw with the targets once in a while, or the stages, so that they change up and you don't know what's coming. So
yeah, the one I always went to, they changed once a month, which is about how often me and my buddy were going. So every time we went, it was different, which was pretty awesome.
Yeah, at that point it becomes a real experience. It's almost like hunting, except you know that there's going to be a target eventually, or whereas but it's still like if you aren't taking the golf cart and hauling your ship with you, you're getting that real experience of this is what it would be like if I was hunting. Could I hit a target? All right, well, now I might want to go and take the next step and actually go do that. So
yeah, and having a bit of heart rate and stuff like that, it's a lot more like hunting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good simple practice version of it, I guess. But yeah, that sounds like a good idea. I'd like to try it. You've talked about it before, and I've been like, I've never done that. That sounds like that'd be actually fun, rather than just sit there and shoot.
Yeah, from sporting clays, five stand is. I've only seen it before at a place, so I don't know how popular it is. But it's basically like your sporting clays all condensed into one place, like consolidated into one range or one bay, and you've got 5 stands. So instead of a trap or skeet where you go around in a curve, you're just in a line. You have 5 stands, so you're from left to right. There's just 5 positions there, and I think that's why they call it 5 stand. And then I think there's 5 throwers, or no, I guess. So there can be from 6 to 18 strategically placed clay throwers. So it's a lot more dynamic. And then some of them are going to go up, some are going to go towards you. You're going to get doubles where one goes away and one comes towards you. Both of them come from the left or the right. So at our range, there's those 5 stands, and then there's the guy clicking the button is way above you, standing on like a big structure thing, so you can see everything. And I don't think there is anything. I think it's just completely random. Like it's up to that guy to click buttons, and way more fun than anything else I've ever done. It goes really fast because it's just 5 people shooting from 5 positions, so it goes pretty quick. And because there's so much going on, you really it's a whole different thing to get prepared for. Like Bob's saying, it's not like hunting because you know it's about to happen, but as far as just challenging yourself as your skill with the shotgun, it's super fun. A lot of fun.
Oh, okay, that must have been. That's. I was going to mention something when we were still on Sporting Clays, but I guess I can mention it here because that's the place we went. You know, it's got the Sporting Clay course, and then the very last station. You know, basically, the way ours was, like your buddy throws the clays for you. You know, so you plug this little counter in, so it keeps track of how many clays you shoot, and you pay for like 50 or whatever, and then if you shoot more, it's, I don't know, 10 cents or whatever extra. But this last stage, the controller had, it was up to J, so however many buttons those are, that's how many different throwers it had. And so we would do that. We'd save up a couple extra shots on our counter, and then when we get to that last stage, we'd plug it in and just start messing with each other, like throwing all sorts of weird stuff. And you had, like you said, you had no idea where it was coming from. So I guess we were doing 5-stand. I didn't even know that's what it was called, or a version of it at least. So I thought that was pretty neat.
Yeah, it's super fun. So that's the only thing shotguns are good for. So if you've got a shotgun, then I would highly encourage you to go out and shoot at least one of the shooting sports with it. You can do it. Trap.
Yeah, you're such a shotgun hater. Next time I'm down. I swear I'm going to put a scope on my 870, and we're going to go out there and I'm going to ping targets at like 200 yards with slugs.
I could care less. I can do that also. Boring.
Oh, okay. Who cares? You're shooting an ounce of lead every time you pull a trigger. It's a great weapon. It's a wonderful, soft, big game. The shotgun hating is driving me nuts.
Stupid gun.
They're wonderful.
An ounce of lead in one round. An ounce of lead in one round. So how many ounces of lead are there, and how many 7.62 by 39 rounds? Or how many ounce of 7.62 by
Doesn't matter, because that 1 ounce of lead is going to end the whole thing. It's just that powerful and wonderful.
In Bob's world,
I'm a 45 man stopper.
Only need the one bullet. All right, so we're not seeing anything on the gun channel side. So I don't know if it's broke over there, if everybody quit chatting or what. Nobody cares about shotguns. So I guess we'll move along. There are more shotgun sports out there. I was just going to say there's an international trap, which is way faster. That's what they shoot in the Olympics. The birds are faster, I think. So either there's less dwell, like when you say pull, or else the birds are just faster, I think. So kind of neat. And they have to start with the gun not shouldered, I think. So anyway, there's some other ways to play the games that are already there. And then you can also, I guess the last thing to throw in there is think about going 410 or 20 gauge. 20 is basically the same, so it's no big deal. But going to 410, I got schooled. We all got schooled. We used to go out there for night trap and skeet and everything. At night, they would run them at night when it's hot out here in the desert. That was pretty neat. We'd go out there after work, and there was like a, what do you call it, league, right? So there was a bunch of people that would show up and shoot the league shoot, and then we would show up after that before they closed. And so we got all the benefits of being in the night shoot except after, so it was even cooler, and we didn't have to like rush over there right after work. Anyway, we were going there for a good long time, and one time we were there, and there was like 4 or 5 of us that would show up regularly. And this one night we were just 4 of us there, and it was always cool because we always would meet people. That's another thing about shooting shotguns is you can go there by yourself, go there with a couple of people, go there with 6 people, and you only shoot 5 at a time. So you might go in with 4 other people, you might get 5 random people, depending on how busy the night is or the day is, and who else is showing up. You have an opportunity to meet all kinds of other shooters out there. Anyway, so we were out there shooting, and this old guy was, I forget, I don't know how the competition things, whatever those things called, the leagues are work, but I think he was shooting for his league, even though it was after. So he was just there to make scores or whatever. And he was shooting this little 410 double barrel, and he didn't miss. He got all 25. It's crazy. And there's a lot less stuff in a 410 than there is a 12 or 20 or 12, I guess, that I was shooting. And I don't hit all of them every time.
Oh, anyway, can hit a target with a 410 is good, because the shot pattern, it's got so little shot compared to a 20 gauge or a 12 gauge especially. But like 20 gauge is pretty close to a 12 gauge, really. You can, if you can shoot well with 12 gauge, you'll shoot probably a little bit better with or about the same with a 20 gauge. So, but 410 is a whole nother game. I know I had a single shot 410, and it was so hard to, it was way harder to hunt with than the 20 gauge I was used to.
Yeah, I just take my Judge out there with the 410 revolver and just shoot sporting clays with that. I mean, yeah, I miss like 1 out of 50 or so. So yeah, I kind of suck.
But that's because it's a revolver, and you don't really get those things yet.
Right. Yeah, I don't. Well, that's the thing. Yeah, I don't own the revolver. I have to rent it each time.
I think how cool would it be to go shoot skeet or something with those shockwaves or those TAC 14s? I think that'd be fun.
Hell yeah. I mean, I love going and doing it with my, like just doing it on my own out in the field, and I'll take my 1100 out there. And yeah, you just like.
All right, well, since I say stuff like that, let's end it with those things are made out of asphalt. So everybody thinks they're clay, I guess, because they're called clay targets, but they haven't been clay in a very long time. They're just made out of pressed asphalt. We paint on them. So if you're like Bob, you just like bring them out into the fields. Keep aware where you're doing that. What you're leaving behind is a bunch of foreign weird stuff, and it's asphalt, so it sticks there. I guess if you live somewhere where asphalt roads don't last very long, it's not such a big deal. But out here in the desert, they say 25 years for that stuff to disappear. So everybody that's horseback riding next to it, or hiking, or bicycle riding, or whatever they do recreationally in your area, if you're leaving a big pile of orange filth everywhere, then that's really tough to clean up. So I encourage you to do that on private land.
Yeah, and I heard something about like cattle eat it or something, and it's bad for them.
Yeah.
Don't feel bad for them. They're paying $5 a week with their cattle on it.
Yeah, no, that's true. But thankfully,
if you're shooting in your own field or something too, right?
Well, be aware of what's going to be. So.
Yeah, where I live, we have horses which don't really eat it, and number two, it rains so much here that the stuff just like dissolves into the ground, and it's just part of the ground then.
Sure.
Well, I remember seeing something, because I have some property up north, and I have a little hand thrower, and I'd like to be shooting some clays out there, but I never have, because I don't want my field that we go up to all the time to just have a bunch of orange crap all over the place.
They're making them.
I found these things. This is what I was trying to say, Bob. Jesus.
Oh, Jesus.
I found these things that are biodegradable clays, and yeah, it says that it breaks down and stuff, and it's fine for the environment. And so I don't know what it's made out of, but it's got to be something that's not asphalt.
No, man, they got some here that are made. You know how they have it's a lawn mulch you put on when you get a dead spot in your lawn. They basically take that stuff, press it into a clay, into the shape of a clay, and dry it. And so when you throw it out there, it's like grass seed and mulch, and it sticks together until you hit it. And if you don't hit it and it lays out in the grass, it's grass seed and mulch. So it would just make more lawn. These are great ideas. I don't know why more people don't buy those. I think they're a little expensive, but it's kind of like, what would you pay to mulch, and put grass seed out in the field?
All right. Well, with that, we've solved the shotgun situation.
I think we have.
I don't know if there's anything else. So we've been going about an hour. Anything else?
What's going on tonight?
That's a good Friday. So after this show, I think your next thing you're going to see is, well, I guess no more heavy. So it'll be Clover Tap coming up tonight, and then after that will be Edge of the Week with Edge 4006. I think Travis is doing a Caliber Corner tomorrow, and I know Rick is doing a Rick's Life as I See It. He's back. I guess he had some issues, but he's planning on doing the show tomorrow. So that's cool to hear. I may do an AK chat tomorrow because I do want to do one this month. See how things go on the computers tomorrow. And I'm probably doing a band chat sometime over the weekend. Otherwise, Matt and Yankee do their Q&A, like one-on-one chats. Yoder, Texas usually posts the Come and Talk It on Sundays, which is a radio show out of Texas. It's pretty decent to listen to. And I can't think of anything else. We'll be back here on Monday with episode 361. We're going to be talking about how to use social media to introduce people to guns, and of course the calendar of events that's coming up. So if it's a great time to jump over to Gun Channels, post anything you know that's coming up on the shooting calendar, and we can feature it on Monday's show. Of course, before Monday's show, Early Watch is on for most of the morning. So if you're looking for something to listen to and interact with, then check out Early Watch over on Gun Channels.
All right. So, Smeggy, unless you got anything?
I don't feel like stealing your thunder today, so no, I don't have anything.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I'm being nice to you. Why are you grumbling at me now?
I'm just remembering what you did. This is why I'm grumbling at you.
Oh, Jesus.
All right. Let's see. This one is by Sigmund Freud. A fear of weapons is a sign of retarded sexual and emotional maturity. I'd like to thank everybody for watching and listening, and please remember to like, share, and subscribe. See you on Monday.
The guys and gals of GunWebsites.com encourage you to take a CCW class every year, practice at least once a month, and carry every day. Thanks for watching GunWebsites.com.